Hello and welcome to my album ranking of the year. I decided to make this video just because honestly it was the spur of the moment and I kind of realized that I have a lot of albums, or there have just been a lot of albums this year that have really made 2024 the year of music in many people's opinions, and not just mine, I think personally. But when it comes to albums this year and consistently good pieces of work or pieces of art, I would say some of these albums, I think they deserve to be in the spotlight. So, firstly, my album ranking will consist of 5 albums, and it will have a detailed description of each album. And for some of them, I'll have my favorite tracks. But for most of them, I really wanted to talk about what made it appealing to me, what made it kind of a quality of something that I could put in a ranking list and also be worthy of a praise or just common consensus in the music community or the reaction community or the music community in general. So first we have the first album that I'll be talking about, which is number 5 on my list, and that is Short and Sweet. Now, when it comes to this album, I just want to preface this by saying it is not my least favorite. When it came to this list, I it's just how it came in terms of ranking the albums in terms of my favorite to least favorite. But when it comes to a certified pop album, this is what you would call. Whether it's addicting choruses or pre-choruses to the flow switch in each of the song structures, this album is a certified banger in my opinion. From tracks like Bedcam, which is my favorite track from the album, to Don't Smile, which is the perfect bookend to the album. This album really encapsulates a perfect pop album, in my opinion, rivaling some like Sweetener and many of Ariana Grande's discography, hint hint, coming in the future. But when it comes to this album, it is a certified pop classic in my opinion, and that is why it is number 5. Next on the list is an album that is iconic, show-stopping, breathtaking, heartbreaking, all of the above. And that is Cowboy Carter. Honestly, what can I say about this album other than it is simply iconic? Whether it is a thrusting of genres within the country genre or a Beyonce album within a country album, this album is a connective masterpiece. From stunning ballads to classic country tracks, it manages to toe the line between the old and new. And whether it is tracks like Daughter, which features arias from her operatic range, to Spaghetti, which showcases her rap flow and her flow in general when it comes to writing bars and honestly lyrical composition, this project really showcases some of Beyonce's best work in her discography, in my personal opinion. Um, Despite just lyrical composition and connectivity within the sound of each track and the track list, it also is some or has some of the most impressive vocals that I have seen in her whole discography. And personally, I think this is a reason why it is next in my track list. And it was really hard to rank all of these, but Cowboy Carter I felt had to be included in this album ranking simply because just the masterpiece of the connectivity of it all is something that I had to include. Next up on the album reaction list is Lana, the SOS Deluxe. Now, when it comes to this album, cohesiveness really isn't something that comes to mind. I guess I'm reading off the script. Um, Lore reveal. I don't know why I said that. But anyway, back to originally scheduled programming. No, really. When it comes to cohesiveness, this is something that really comes to mind when it comes to the forefront of my mind when viewing this album, especially in relation to SOS. While I find that SOS details a lot of situations in which Solana goes through situations and is dealing with them from either an unhealed perspective or a perspective on the way to healing, I find that Lana really describes the healing aspect of her journey and how she finally reacts and evolves to each of these situations. Um, More specifically, the Lana goes through the said feelings of being in an involved place when dealing with a situation, while SOS necessarily doesn't deal with the healing aspect of it, but rather the trials and tribulations of what she's going through, and maybe more of her raw emotions and other things that make up the flow of the music and the thematic tones of the music. Other than Kitchen being my track of the year, the variation of sounds and lyrical complexity on this album also make it so attractive. When it comes to some of her pre-choruses and hooks, just the way she invites you into the song is so compelling, in addition to anything else that she could possibly put into the song. Next in the installment on my album reaction? Yes. My album reaction. Yes. Well, yes. No. My album ranking of the year is Hit Me Hard and Soft. Now, no surprise, this album has reeling vocals and earnest love that is described within every song, or nearly every song. While it is indirectly shown or directly shown in songs like Birds of a Feather or Lunch, the pre-choruses and choruses showcase the brilliant song structure on this album. Now, while it has hit after hit, it only has 10 tracks. While some people might find this a deficit, I actually find this a strong suit of the album. I find this a strong suit because it really, I I would like to think that it really allowed Billy and Phineas to really hone in what they wanted this album to be in these 10 tracks. Um, in the nearly 4 minute per track record, this adds installments of musical prowess and lyrical complexity that you can easily see in tracks like Birds of a Feather, again, Chihiro, um, and tracks like Skinny. Now, while this album is short, no short and sweet, pun intended, this album is long. As it goes along, the tracks have a flow that is comparable to none of Short and Sweet, Cowboy Carter, or any other album on this list because of the lyrical complexity and the way they detail song structure and everything on this album, making this my number two on my album ranking. And my final and number one ranked album of the year is Eternal Sunshine. Now, whether it's addicting hooks or attractive melodies, this album by far is my favorite. From The Boy Is Mine to the addicting Supernatural, these records make others pale in comparison. Finally, the concept of this album being a divorce album really leans itself to a very nuanced view of divorce and the splitting of two people and what that can mean for both perspectives. In addition to this, the emotional depth of the album really benefits from the concept from which it's pulling from. Other than this, I really can say nothing but gush about this album. I have had it on repeat, and it really is an album that makes you, or at least inspires me, to write music and study music and kind of understand lyrical composure and song composure when it comes to each of the songs, whether it's Yes and or songs that are melodically different, like Imperfect for You. Each of these songs have something that is beneficial to hear in the album, and this is why it is my favorite of the year. Finally, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I really enjoyed making this album ranking of the year because it was really on my mind, kind of which albums I preferred and which albums I thought really deserved the spot of each ranking. whether that was Eternal Sunshine being my favorite or Short and Sweet being not my least favorite, but just least liked of the year. And in general, I'm really happy to have you guys hear my opinions and perspectives when, excuse me, the devil came up. No, but I really have learned to be grateful this year for everything that I have in my life and everything in general. And when it comes to what has helped me evolve through this year, music is really something that has been a great factor in helping that. And I really wanted to share something so important with you guys and just a fun little ranking video, if I'm being honest. And other than that, I can't wait to see what I have in store for you guys later. Thank you guys. Have a good day.